Hi, hey, hello, and welcome.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Doesn't show it on my end.
Hey, man.
What's
Trying
up?
to introduce our show. Can I introduce our fucking show? I mean, come on. You're live. Maybe. Unless you're listening to the podcast. I guess Andrew's not wrong. If you're listening to the podcast,
what's up?
you're not live. Welcome to another shit show of an episode right off the bat of a Colts podcast brought to you by the embarrassed, I'm sure, Sports Illustrated and Horseshoe Huddle. Don't send me a picture. I don't care. Stop. Get out of the camera. Andrew, I got a comment. Did I see some guy report on Wentz today? Probably. Can't. We're going to get to that for sure, but welcome to the show. My name's Brandon. I'm joined here by your idiotic co-host, guy who just got kicked out of my wedding, Andrew Moore. How you doing, buddy? How was the Super Bowl? How was Super Bowl Sunday? What'd you think? Let's chat.
I was doing better about 5 minutes ago before my
live?
before my computer decided to be all weird. But hey,
that was actually Andrew's computer just started playing a sound back from another night where he said, "Are we live?" That wasn't him.
Yeah,
live.
no.
Anyway, go ahead.
I'm doing all right. It is sad, though, because it is officially the end of the 2021 NFL season. We don't have live football again until August, which, man, that sucks. But, hey, it was a good
Andrew.
Well, Combine's not live football, just a bunch of guys running around in their shorts, which, hey, I love the Combine, so you're not going to hear any gripes about me. I want to try to be down there at the Combine to see that.
XFL back this year?
I don't know if XFL is coming back this year or not.
Better ask The Rock.
But anyways, it was a great Super Bowl. I really enjoyed it. It came down to the wire. The whole playoffs of the NFL this year were fantastic. So I was, you were right. You came out as the final victor in the pick'em standings, I think. But
you know what I realized after we recorded last week. I don't know. It was a couple days later, maybe. You literally picked the Super Bowl winning team to start the year, and at the very last game, you betray them and you say, no, Rams, the Bengals are going to win. You literally turned around on the team that you picked at the beginning of the season.
I picked them to make it to the Super Bowl, but I picked the
Bills to win?
To win.
I thought we had this conversation last week. I apparently don't listen to anything.
But yeah, I mean, we got some Super Bowl talk. We got some Colts rumors to talk about concerning number 2. It's gonna be a fun show tonight. I'm
in pain. My insides are turning. My lips still burn. I did the one chip challenge about an hour and a half ago for a little group meeting at work. A bunch of us did it, and I regret it. I mean, I wish I would have bitched out at the last second, just said, you know what? This is a bad idea. I thought about it. I'll tell you what I thought about it. And I said, no, I'm a man and I'll stand proud. I ate the chip and I immediately started drinking milk. Everybody else lasted at least 5 minutes. I think there's another guy on my team. He was shooting for an hour and he was pretty confident he was going to make it. So, but yeah, I am miserable. My stomach hurts. Lips are on fire. I mean, I'm hurting. And, if you're listening, say a quick prayer for my bathroom tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever. But let's talk about the game, Andrew.
It looks like DeMarcus has done that one chip challenge as well. He said his lips were on fire as well.
Yeah, so. Yep. So Super Bowl 56.
There you go.
56. Rams beat the Bengals 23-20 in honestly a great football game. Probably the best Super Bowl since Patriots Eagles.
I would say so.
Chiefs 49ers wasn't great.
Chiefs 49ers was fun to see the Chiefs come back at the end. Yeah. But this game definitely came down to the wire. It was because the Eagles Patriots was more of a shootout.
Couple lead changes.
Right. I really enjoyed the game. I really did. I thought that the both teams matched up well. It was fun seeing the kind of the strength on weakness for different parts, which we'll get into. But yeah, it was cool to see those quarterbacks go back and forth with Joe Burrow having a chance to win it at the end and came up just a little bit of short.
Yeah, I mean, and first of all, congratulations to the Rams. Congratulations to me on picking the Rams. Congratulations to Chris on his team winning a Super Bowl. But, I mean, Matt Stafford, the guys I feel really happy for right now, okay? Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, retirement rumors, by the way, hilarious. Eric Weddle, Aaron Donald, Andrew Whitworth, Odell Beckham Jr., and I'm so glad Odell Beckham Jr. was involved early, because if he had gotten hurt before he had another catch and a touchdown, maybe he still feels like he didn't win a Super Bowl. I'm really glad he got to contribute. Again, say what you will about the guy, every sideline tantrum, I believe, was ignited by a true desire to win football games. I don't ever think it was super selfish, give me the football, give me the foot. He just wanted to win football games. Love it. Aaron Donald is a freak. Matt, thank you. But I mean, yeah, absolutely awesome game to watch. Overall, Matt Stafford, I think played a phenomenal football game. One of those interceptions, not his fault. One of them, questionable throw, but you know what? Jump ball, anybody could get it. The boy from Fort Wayne brings it down, Bates. Other than the third interception, by the way, on the kicking team, hilarious. But other than that, yeah, Stafford and Cooper Kupp delivered in the clutch, Andrew. Stafford was 26 for 40, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kupp, 8 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and an MVP award for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, and I think maybe my main takeaway before we get into those guys, my main takeaway from this is just that the Rams went all in this year. They really did. I mean, they went out and traded Jared Goff and 2 first-round picks to get Matthew Stafford.
Hey,
they traded.
Remember when people said the Lions won that trade?
Yeah, doesn't look like it now. They traded a couple picks for Von Miller. They went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. in the middle of the year once Robert Woods went down with that injury. So they went all in. That's really what they did, and they were rewarded for it. Now, eventually, because of them pushing the cap and different things out, eventually it's going to hurt them, but it seems like it was worth it, because they went out and they accomplished what they wanted to do. They wanted to win a Super Bowl. So yeah. I mean, credit to the Rams, credit to Les Snead, the GM, Sean McVay, the head coach, and then all those players for coming together. But yeah, as far as Matthew Stafford,
because you're talking about the all-in thing, before we go on, I want to talk about it, because Tampa didn't exactly do that. Tampa set it up over the course of a few years, and then Gronk, Brady, AB. I mean, I guess they kind of did, do it all at once. So I mean, it's kind of a, I think you're going to have guys like Rodgers, like Wilson, Matt Ryan, and other guys out there going, Kyler Murray maybe, going, hey, I want to get mine. What team is just a few big decisions away from a Super Bowl? Okay. And our team falls into that, category, I think, of teams that with the right quarterback and, enough balls to say, screw it, we're going this year. We're close enough to do some deals. We've managed the cap well enough. Now the Rams are going to have the fallout of, oh shit, we don't have any picks. And there's going to be some rough years ahead for the Rams, I imagine, because now everybody on that team, not everybody has that hunger to go get another one. Shit, Aaron Donald's talking about retiring now, once he got the one, and he's one of the most competitive human beings alive, I'm sure. So it's interesting to see how this blueprint impacts the NFL in the years to come. But okay, let's talk football.
But I mean, you do make great points. It's going to be interesting to see if more teams follow this blueprint, because the Tampa Bay did it, LA did it. Which team is going to try to do it this offseason? But we're about a month away from that happening. So getting back to the game, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, I mean, they made plays throughout the game, but what really stood out to me is just that last drive. That last drive for the Rams when they were down by, was it down by 4? And it was coming towards the end of the fourth quarter, and they needed to score on that drive, because if they didn't, Cincinnati was probably going to run out the clock. And it wasn't like Matthew Stafford was trying to spread the ball around or anything. He's like, you know what? I've got the best wide receiver in football this year. I'm going to feed him the ball, and I'm going to make sure that I get it to him in space to make plays. And that's exactly what he did. And then the play that everybody's replaying over and over again is that no look pass from Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp. And I don't know if you could have made a more perfect throw.
But it's not even just the throw. Like, imagine thinking, I got to look this guy off, and then also thinking, man, I don't know if there's enough time for this look off to like hold him there. So I'm just going to throw the ball where I know a guy's at. Imagine your brain working that fast. And then, by the way, trusting yourself to do it.
That's a connection that very few quarterback and wide receivers have.
On their first year together.
The first year together, but they talked about it. They would get together at 6 a.m. every single day and work on their timing, work on their routes. And that's what it takes to be great. I mean, you hear the stories of Peyton Manning with Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne every single day, before every single game, going out there 2 hours before the game and working on their routes and working on the timing. That's something that never stops. So it is cool to see. And it is cool to see that their hard work really paid off, and they were able to deliver in the clutch like that because of the preparation they put in weeks and months prior to the Super Bowl. So again, I think that those two and that combination, and not only that combination, but I think what's important is they really feed off each other. You know what I mean? Stats Matt says, I don't know if Brandon's going to make it. And I don't know either.
Having a rough moment over here. I'm going through something.
But we've seen Matthew Stafford really elevate wide receivers before and help them to their best seasons ever. Well, I think Cooper Kupp and just the way that his playing style is just fits so well with Matthew Stafford as well. A guy that can go and win at all levels of the field. So Matthew Stafford, a player that can throw it to all levels of the field. So it was just good to see that connection. And I think that especially on that final drive, that's what ultimately won them the Super Bowl.
Halfway through this Super Bowl talk, Andrew, let's talk about the halftime show. Slipping this in on you. Best halftime show of all time, probably. I do love me some Justin Timberlake. Anybody that's, a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of people say, best one since Prince. And I'm like, hey man, I thought that one sucked too. So, I was not, and it didn't help that I was like wanting halftime to be over then. But I mean, this has got to be, and I'm sure this applies to a lot of people that listen to this show. It says everybody born between 1985 and 1995 saw the Super Bowl halftime show lineup and was like, sweet, instead of doing a show for old people like the Rolling Stones or Paul McCartney or The Who, they did one for us young people. And then 10 seconds later, it hit us. We're old. We're the ones getting old. We're the targeted audiences. We're the ones having the the Super Bowl parties, So it was really good. 50 Cent, hilarious moment.
I thought it was really good too, especially, I mean, seeing Snoop Dogg, Eminem, guys that really, when we were growing up, you hear about and you listen to their music, and I'm sure there are people that didn't like it, but I thought it was pretty good. It was almost like not a throwback to the past, but it was just different the way they had set it up, because it wasn't just one person. It had all five with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and then the surprise of 50 Cent. So I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's the best of all time, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Surprise of 50 Cent. It was a surprise.
He's put on a few pounds.
Dude, the memes are outrageous. But the part, like, I didn't even realize, like, it was because of the music video, but 50 Cent was great. That was awesome. Could have dealt without Mary J. Blige, to be honest. Eminem sing a song that's probably the least amount of cuss words he has in a song, aside from one that I can think of. So we had to edit that the least, so that made sense. Dr. Dre was awesome. I mean, just unbelievable. But just on a quality of not just performance, but like the audio, the production of it was just far beyond shows in the past. It was a lot of fun. I really liked it. Glad that happened. That was definitely a highlight of the night. All right, moving on. Already talked about Stafford and Kupp. Donald and Miller dominate the line. They both had 2 sacks. Really came on in the second half. They weren't getting much done in the first half, fourth quarter especially. Obviously, Aaron Donald seals the game. What did you think about their performance?
I think they were a huge difference in the game, and I think we saw that early on because we saw how the Bengals game plan really shifted around the pass rush for the Los Angeles Rams. You saw that the Bengals started out the game with real quick passes, didn't want to throw anything deep, didn't want to take long developing plays because they were honestly scared of what Von Miller and Aaron Donald would be able to do when they go up against that I'm going to say the porous offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals. Really just nothing there that could stop those two. And I think this is becoming a theme for the Super Bowl. And we're starting to see it over and over again and this applies for the Indianapolis Colts as well, just how important a pass rush is to win against the elite teams in this league. When you have guys like Aaron Donald and Von Miller, it just makes the defense's job so much easier. And Joe Burrow still threw for quite a few yards and some touchdowns. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase still got theirs. But at the same time, that pressure is what got to Burrow, and it's what made his life a living hell back there. And we saw that last year when Patrick Mahomes was running for his life because Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, and that defense for the Buccaneers chased him all around. Even the year prior, the 49ers almost won the game single-handedly because of what DeForest Buckner and Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead were doing. It wasn't, and obviously Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill at the very end with their heroics, but I think you get what I'm saying. This to develop a great pass rush and have it really have an impact on the game, that's a huge key in teams not only reaching the Super Bowl, but then once they're there to win that game and really come out on top. So I think it just not only for the Colts, obviously, but for the rest of the league, pass rush matters. And you have to have an elite pass rush if you're going to want to be an elite team in this league.
Well, I mean, look at the last couple of years. Look what the Bucs did to Mahomes. Look what look what the 49ers did to Mahomes early. I mean, that 49ers defense.
I literally just said that. Were you not listening? I literally just talked about.
Did you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs line?
I said that Chris Jones was on that.
There you go. Line. He did well. Sorry, I was reading Sandra's comments about Mary J. Blige in here. I'm out here disrespecting. I apologize. All right, whatever. Fine, moving along. Yeah, they played good football on the defensive side. They were going to run all over. I felt like maybe I'd be interested to look at the stats, Matt. Numbers, but I mean, again, why was P. Ryan in over Mixon? Who knows?
So actually,
throw me off my groove here.
I'll answer that question because it actually came out. I don't know if it was today or if it was in the past couple days, but Zach Taylor was actually asked why Joe Mixon wasn't in there on that third down, and he said that it was on him because he did call the play a little bit late in the play clock. P. Ryan has usually been their third down back, and the running backs coach even asked him, should we put Joe in? And Zach's waved off, said no, we can keep P. Ryan in there. So I like that he owned up to it and didn't just say, well, tried to make excuses for it. He said,
he's doing the old can't find my helmet on the sideline routine.
Right. He said, hey, it was my decision to leave him in. I had faith in him, and that's just what it was. So, I mean, good for Zach Taylor. I think Zach Taylor, especially coming from where he has, from the lowest of the lows with the Bengals, he has matured and become a pretty decent coach over the past 3 seasons.
I mean, I think them being there is proof of the fact that he is a good football coach. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. I don't see Joe Burrow going anywhere anytime soon, asking to get out. But things change, so we'll see. Speaking of Joe Burrow, couldn't pull off a Superman act this time. He was 22 of 33, 263 yards and a touchdown. Sacked 7 times, tied for the most times in Super Bowl history. I mean, he played a good football game. He's got nothing to hang his head about, I don't think. There's only so much you can do. I mean, he was bullying Jalen Ramsey. I mean, we didn't know what he was going to do in regards to Jalen Ramsey. We knew, Chase was going to get his, but not like that. I felt like Joe Burrow was putting his middle finger up to Jalen Ramsey, and he was getting the better of him over and over and over, aside from that ridiculous no call for that touchdown in the second half.
Trench play matters, man. It really does. We talked about the pass rush for the Rams. If the Bengals even have a serviceable offensive line, I think they win that game. I really do. And this is going to be their number one priority in the offseason. And if it isn't, then they're in trouble. Because otherwise, I have a serious feeling that Joe Burrow is going to turn into the next Andrew Luck, have all the talent in the world, but you're not going to have the protection there in order to sustain a long NFL career. Because Joe Burrow, I thought, played once he finally got into his rhythm. He did start out a little bit shaky, but once he did get into his rhythm, I thought Joe Burrow played pretty well. They were starting to get the running game going with Joe Mixon, and that definitely put the pressure off and allowed them to do more things in the passing game.
Right.
But 7 sacks, that is a lot. And this is what we talked about. And it was my biggest worry heading into the game. I went with my heart over my head, but I said that this is going to be what decides the game, is the pass rush for the Rams against the offensive line for the Bengals. And they're definitely going to have to invest this offseason in finding those pieces and putting those in place, so that way they can sustain this and they can go up against the elite offense or defensive lines in the league. I mean, look what the Chiefs did last year after the Super Bowl. They completely remade their offensive line. Still didn't work, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily
a failure.
The pressure that on Patrick Mahomes that really forced things. But yeah, this is exactly what the Bengals need to focus on this offseason. Really get Joe Burrow some protection and focus in on that, because again, you have to have the elite quarterback to win. Yes. But then it's all what matters up front. And we've seen that the past 3 Super Bowls. I know people like to talk about having the great wide receivers and having the great cornerbacks, and that's great. You do need to have good players at those positions. But it's still football, and it still comes down to which line is going to prevail, and that's typically the team that wins in the National Football League.
Yeah, and Matt makes a good point here. I just saw this today for the first time, a shot of this. Jamar Chase
exactly
had
the play you're talking
touchdown
about
over Ramsey if Donald didn't get to Burrow on that last play, that 4th down play. Wide open.
Ramsey had fallen down
on the ground,
and Jamar Chase was wide open down the field. If he had a second longer, Burrow would have been able to cork it and unload it to Jamar Chase for the game-winning touchdown. And again, trench play matters.
Yep. Any other random thoughts about the game? Any players? Anything like that, Andrew? I've got one I want to talk about. So if you got one, go ahead. Then we'll get to mine.
I was just gonna say, I was happy to see Andrew Whitworth get a ring. Andrew Whitworth has been in the league for years. I mean, the dude's 40 years old, and he's been a great left tackle all his career. He's
got to walk away, right?
Oh yeah, he's retiring. You have to walk out. I don't know if he's officially announced it, but he was talking about it. So I mean, he played with the Bengals for numerous years and slugged through those terrible teams with the Bengals. And then I'm sure it was a little bit bittersweet that he got the victory over his longtime team there in Cincinnati. But great guy. He won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award this year. He walks out a Super Bowl champion. Great for Andrew Whitworth. He's a phenomenal guy, and I'm happy for him.
I was happy for him. Weddle was playing with a freaking
ruptured pec or
ruptured pec or something ridiculous. I do want to talk about Jalen Ramsey, best corner in the league. I mean, and I hate to quote Colin Cowherd, but he said it on Twitter. He goes, for being the best lockdown corner in the league or best corner in the league, he sure does give up a lot of completions. And I'm like, holy shit, he's not wrong. I mean, Joe Burrow picked on that dude. What was it? Just a bad night? Do you think Jalen Ramsey is no longer, quite the level that we've thought he has been? What do you think about that situation? We talked about it a little before, but you didn't really give your 2 cents.
I don't think of any ill will towards Jaden Ramsey. I still think he's at least a top 5 cornerback in this league. I mean, he stunk, but everyone has a bad game. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the days of lockdown corners where people don't throw at them anymore, the rules are just they're too much in favor of the offense for that to happen. I mean, the days of like Revis Island where Darrelle Revis was only thrown to maybe 4 times within 4 games. You don't see that anymore. So does Jalen Ramsey have a bad game? I mean, he didn't play his best, but do I think he's still one of the top cornerbacks in this league? Absolutely.
Let's talk about the penalty.
Which one?
The one at the end, the hold, the before the pass interference hold, whatever they called it, defensive hold. What's your take on the call?
I didn't like that that they didn't call things all throughout the game.
It was a very, very flag-free game.
It was a flag-free game, and I enjoyed it. I thought the refs were doing a good job of staying out of it, and I thought that they weren't making themselves about the referees. Like when you see Sean Hockley, every time he refs a game, or Carl Jeffers, every time they ref a game, it seems like there's flags every other play. I thought it was a very well officiated game until the end, and then it seemed like they were really trying to pay attention more and almost force the issue. So, I mean, if you're gonna call it throughout the entire game. There was definitely the missed call when T. Higgins basically threw Jalen Ramsey to the ground.
Well, there's a missed call on Ramsey too when he was holding, on a shirt. But
so I mean, they had some misses for sure, but I just want to see consistency. That was my biggest problem.
So the one over on the side where Ramsey got thrown to the ground, the referee was not in a great position to make the call. I don't know if there was another ref in position to be able to see that well enough, but they're at the end of the game, and I was like, I don't know. But when you see a still and you can see the hand wrapped around the waist and another hand on a ref sees that in that moment, the pressure's on. They're like, well, usually a hand that, even if he didn't displace him at all. But here's what got me. Darius Butler, a defensive back. Okay. A defensive back saying that was the right call. When the ref is always wrong, it's always the wide receiver's fault. There shouldn't be, you know what I mean? If a defensive back, who, by the way, I respect his opinion, is saying, he thinks it is, I'm like, all right, well, I mean, he knows more than I do. Unless he had a lot of money on the Rams, I don't know. He might have, I don't see him saying that if that's not really what he believed. So defensive back saying it, I don't know.
And I think it was the right call, but at the same time, if they're going to make that call, then
that's fair. Yeah, I agree.
Make it in the middle of the first quarter too. I just want, you got to be consistent on your calls, so that way when it gets towards the end of the game, the players know what to expect, if you're going to call that or not, and they can know whether they can be more handsy or not, because every referee crew is different. If you're going to call it one way, just be consistent throughout the game. That's all I ask.
I agree. All right. Colts news. Chris Mortensen reports that there's a belief that Carson Wentz will probably be traded or released before March 19th. His future in Indianapolis looks bleak. Andrew, wow. You heard it here last.
The tea leaves. You got to read the tea leaves. And I want to make sure we're clear on this. This isn't saying that Carson Wentz will be traded, because while Chris Mortensen is very respected and I'm sure he has good sources within the Colts organization, everything that I'm hearing and seeing from the guys that cover the team on a day-to-day basis is that the Colts haven't made their final decision on Carson Wentz yet. And I honestly think that is probably the truth, because when you look at the quarterback situation, and we've already talked about it numerous times, talked about it ad nauseum since the season ended, since Carson Wentz had that terrible performance against Jacksonville. While I have said that I don't think Carson Wentz will be with the team next year,
I don't know who the hell wants him.
I don't think the Colts have made that decision yet, because you think about Chris Ballard and you think about Frank Reich. They're smart guys. They're not just going to get rid of Carson Wentz just to get rid of him, especially when they have given up a first-round pick and a third-round pick last year in order to do so.
Right.
They're going to get rid of Carson Wentz only if they can find an upgrade. So it's not like they're going to cut Carson Wentz and then sign Andy Dalton off the street. That's not going to happen. Now, time is running out, because they would probably need to do it because like the report said, before March 19th, when some more of Wentz's 22 salary becomes guaranteed. But the Colts aren't just going to get rid of Carson Wentz unless they have a deal for a better option, like an Aaron Rodgers, a Russell Wilson. Looks like Derek Carr's probably off the table. I don't know if Jimmy G is considered an upgrade. Maybe the Colts think so. But they're not just going to move off of Carson Wentz just to move off of him. That would be a dumb move. That would be admitting that the trade is a complete failure. And just to move off of him without a plan in place or without something secure there, I just don't see the Colts doing it. I know Irsay is upset.
That's what I've been saying this whole time, and you are very convinced. You're like, I think he's going to be gone.
Well, I do. I do think that eventually he'll be gone, but I think as of right now, the Colts don't have anything in place.
Here's what this release
will, but I don't. But right now, they don't have anything in place as far as who their next quarterback is going to be.
Here's what this release is. Okay, this is the Colts letting the league know. Okay, and the Colts didn't release. Somebody did. Okay, somebody in the Colts did. Somebody on the Colts was told to. This was not accidental. Okay, so this is the Colts letting it out, going, all right, let the phone calls come in, let the the illegal tampering begin, whatever it is. Let's find out what kind of attention we can get for Carson Wentz. Let's see what kind of business we can drum up. And if you don't think that's how things work, you're naive and maybe even a little stupid. So it's just, that's the way it is. That's what's going on right here. But again, I don't know what we get back for him. And Derek Carr, like you said, I said this back when they hired their head coach. I thought I had heard that, he really liked Derek Carr. So I don't see Carr going anywhere. And that was, if anybody realistic that I was kind of hopeful for, that would have been the one.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Teams use the media to get their messages out there all the time. Now, Stats Matt brings this up. He says that the money only goes away in a trade, so a straight cut still leaves $15 million if he read that correctly. Yeah. So you are correct in that aspect that it would be $15 million in dead cap. However, Carson Wentz off the Colts books would then create $13 million in cap space. So they would be on the hook for 15, but they would still get 13 million in space. So right now, I think they're projected around 39 to $40 million. So that would go up between, I don't know, 51 to $53 million in cap space if they cut Carson Wentz.
All right, let's move it along. We'll talk about that plenty this offseason. Jonathan Taylor named the 2021 FedEx Ground Player of the Year. Yeah, we know.
That one we figured that was going to happen when he won the FedEx Ground Player of the Week like 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
So now real quick before we move on, Kent's asking, could they cut and trade Wentz if they had a QB in mind this draft? Yeah. I mean, they could. I don't think they will, because
they can if they don't have one.
number one, this draft class for quarterbacks is nowhere near what has been the past couple of years. It's considered a down year for quarterbacks. Number 2, Colts don't have a first round pick. So
unless Chris Ballard sees a Darius Leonard at quarterback in the draft, it's probably not the route we go.
Right as of right now, the Colts are at 47, and you can't bank on another team trading with you to trade up for a quarterback in the draft. So I don't see them really putting that much draft capital in to try to move up into the top 10, especially when this quarterback class, there might not even be any of those guys drafted in the top 10.
Yeah, unless you're finding freaking Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, Aaron Rodgers, something out there that nobody has any interest in, that somehow you pull the rabbit out of your ass and you find, I don't, yeah, there's just no way that's going to happen. So good for Jonathan Taylor as well. Obviously, we've been talking about it. This is what I want to talk about. Andrew, Colts hire former Raiders defensive backs coach Ron Miles as their new DB coach, and former Raiders linebackers coach Richard Smith as their new linebacker coach. This is just kind of how it works when you bring a DC along, but I don't know much about him, but I know I saw you talking about it. I know I saw Zach Hicks talking about it, and I saw Matt, I believe, talking about it. That DB coach Ron Miles, that's a home run for the Colts.
Yeah, Ron Millis. He's a guy that really is a good teacher of football. He's a guy that is he really worked with that, just going back as recently as last year. He worked with that young secondary of the Raiders, and towards the end of the year, they were pretty stout. So he's a guy that does have a good amount of coaching experience. Players love to play for him. He's a guy that likes his cornerbacks and his defensive backs to be real physical and go out there and likes to hit somebody. So I think he's just going to be able to really build on the foundation that James Rowe put in place with those young cornerbacks.
Foundation.
A very strong foundation with Rocky Sin, Isaiah Rodgers. You saw them really step it up last year.
Yeah.
So I even Kenny Moore was elected to his first Pro Bowl. So it's going to be really nice, really interesting to see how he can take this cornerback group to the next level, because these guys are still young. I mean, Rocky Sin will be in his fourth year. Rocky Sin will be in a contract year. Isaiah Rodgers will be in his third year next year. So these guys can still continue to improve, and it's going to be interesting to see how he gets those guys working. And then Richard Smith, this guy has I think I saw over 30 years of coaching experience. So wow. He's a guy that's got a lot. He's been a lot of places, and he's coached a lot of guys. So I'm not necessarily looking at this as someone to hire to help Darius Leonard, but I'm looking at this as somebody to help Bobby Okereke and some of the other younger linebackers on this team to kind of take that next step. And then obviously to help Darius Leonard, that's priority number one, but really these young guys to help them reach their potential and take over that second level of Gus Bradley's defense.
I like Matt's point here. Defensive line coach is interesting now that the top three options are out of the running. So a lot of people clamoring for Henderson from the Rams, but why would he leave now? Well, the number one defensive lineman, number one defensive tackle in the league is maybe going to retire. Maybe he wants to go hang out with the number two defensive tackle in the league. Huh. I like that.
I think Aaron Donald said that he's thinking about running it back next year. So we'll see about that one, but I don't think I would love for Henderson to come to the Colts, but I don't think there's a shot that happens, because number one, the Rams would have to allow him to go since it's a lateral move. And why would you leave the Super Bowl champions when you have more talent there, than more proven talent, I should say, on the Los Angeles Rams?
I'm not saying he should do that. I'm just saying, I mean, there's the one reason, maybe Donald leaves and you're like, well, peace.
Matt does bring up a very good point, though, that the defensive line coach is going to be probably the most important position coach that they hire. And I don't think it's a shock that this is the position coach that they haven't hired yet, that the one they're trying to vet and really find a good coach, because what have we been saying all episode? That we need an elite pass rush, and the Colts need somebody that can take DeForest Buckner and continue to get him to play at an all-pro level. You've got Kwity Paye and Dio Dangbo, two young pass rushers that need molding. They have the tools there. You just need to mold them into those Pro Bowl players that I think they can be. So that's why I think that it's taking them a little bit longer to find that defensive line coach, because they want to find the right fit, and they really want to find somebody that really focuses in developing these young guys.
Colts offensive quality control coach Gerard Johnson will be joining the Viking staff as their assistant quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a what's the word?
Step up, step down,
step up. What's the word for step? Promotion. There we go. It's been a little bit of promotion.
It's so long since he had one,
Yeah, no kidding. A little bit of a promotion for Gerard Johnson, and he'll be going over to the Viking staff. Really, the hierarchy for going through the quarterback ranks up to an offensive coordinator with the Colts is really jumbled up, especially when you have Marcus Brady there, who's young, Scott Milanovich, who's a well-established quarterback coach. So I'm good for Johnson. Hopefully he finds success with the Vikings.
All right, let's talk about the NFL honors. Andrew wants to go in the opposite order of most people. He wants to hit MVP first, the reigning, defending, four-time in a row, four-time. He's two-time reigning, Andrew. Two-time reigning. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers MVP. Good for him. Congrats for Aaron Rodgers. High fives for him. Did you like the pick? Should have been Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah, should have been Carson Wentz, hands down. No, I'm fine with the pick. I would have liked to have seen Jonathan Taylor obviously get the MVP. Knew that wasn't going to happen, but definitely there were a lot of people out there that weren't happy about it, but I have no problem giving the MVP to Aaron Rodgers.
The only other option, what then, is Cooper Kupp or Tom Brady?
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers. Will you do me a favor, and on the social media, will you put Brandon Pitt? Brandon says Carson Wentz snub for MVP. Maybe we'll get a few hate messages about that. Maybe a few hate listens.
Listen, my mentions from Facebook blow up enough from my articles that I post. I don't need any more from Twitter.
Offensive player of the year, Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, and it after the last 2 games of the season, and I'm not angry that they give that to Kupp.
I'm not surprised, just because especially since he won the Triple Crown. I mean, He was the league leader in catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. So I think Jonathan Taylor. Did Jonathan Taylor win that for running backs? Did he have the most rushes? Obviously, had the most yards and most rushing touchdowns, or did he? He may have tied for most rushing touchdowns, but
I think he had both. But I don't know. Stats, Matt, let us know.
Either way, I mean, Cooper Kupp is deserving of the Offensive Player of the Year as well.
This one, I'm fine with the selection. I'm not fine with the fact that Darius Leonard didn't get a single pick. When you look at, I can't remember, it was Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, and somebody else. And when you look, they were all linebackers that won Defensive Player of the Year. And when you look at the stats, Darius Leonard pretty much wrecks them all in every stat line except for Ray Lewis. Didn't get a single vote, but Steelers linebacker TJ Watt does win Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but I think it's a little ridiculous Darius Leonard didn't get a single vote.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the Maniac get a vote, but it's hard to get a vote. And I don't know if TJ Watt got all of the votes, but TJ Watt tied the sack record for a season. So it was pretty obvious that he was with getting a record or tying a record like that, which you think about 22 and a half sacks in a season. That's absurd. So it was obvious he was going to win the award.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase. Good for him. That was obvious to me. Next one's obvious as well. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons.
Any
complaints?
These two, absolutely not. These two were just heads above the rest of the competition, especially when it comes to the rookie. So these two are probably going to be all pros for many years to come.
Yep. Comeback Player of the Year, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. Hey, for him. He did come back real strong. I mean, he played, 6 games last year, and then goes to the Super Bowl the next year. That's about as comeback as it gets.
6 to 8. I want to.
Somewhere in there. It was not a lot. We were talking about this weekend, and I never worked it out.
Not a lot, but yeah, Joe Burrow to have the season that he did. I mean, I would say Joe Burrow was probably top 5 in the MVP. Would you say Joe Burrow top 5? So, yeah. Are you doing okay there?
Yeah, just everything inside of me is on fire. I'm just so warm. I'm so scared to puke because that means it's coming back. Like it'll hit me again.
Let's not talk about that.
I don't want to vomit. Tim off. Coach of the year, Titans, Mike Vrabel. I mean,
I think a big reason for this was
how can you say no?
It's because they got the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they had to deal with the most injuries out of any team in the league, and they still were able to get the number 1 seed. So Mike Vrabel, as
they set an NFL record for the most players to hit the roster.
As much as I don't like the Titans, very deserving for Mike Vrabel. He's a great coach.
Other people are like, oh, but what about Matt LaFleur? Well, he's had this many winning seasons. Nobody gives a shit. It's about this year. It's not about how many seasons in a row he's tied together.
It's the same argument that people were saying that Jonathan Taylor shouldn't win awards because Derrick Henry didn't. It doesn't matter. It's only about what is happening this year.
Matt, spoiler alerts. Walter Payton Man of the Year, Rams offensive tackle Andrew Whitworth. It's a big award. It's important.
Honestly, most players say that this is the biggest award that you can win the league. Better than MVP, better than Super Bowl MVP. The Walter Payton Man of the Year award is taken very, very seriously by the players around the league, and they should. It's a great honor, and I'm glad that Andrew Whitworth won it because he is a great guy and does a lot for his community.
Yes, sir. All right, other news around the league: Rams wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Is believed to have torn his ACL in the Super Bowl. We all pretty much could have guessed that at that point. Looked pretty bad, non-contact. I believe he's already having issues with that knee too, so probably just finish the job.
Second torn ACL in I think 3 years, so yeah, it's tough. And Odell's he's going to be a free agent here at the start of March, so. Yep. I don't know if he's going to come back with the Rams. I've heard that he could possibly go to the Chiefs because the Chiefs are looking for another wide receiver. Yep. Either way, I mean, he's probably not going to be ready by the start of training camp. You're probably looking at him missing a month of the regular season.
If I'm Odell, I'm sticking with the Rams. Sticking with Matt Stafford, a guy you've got a relationship with already, best quarterback you've ever played with, and it's LA.
I mean, can you imagine a trio of wide receivers with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, who's coming back from injury, and Odell?
Yeah, and Van Jefferson is your 4th. Are you kidding me? That's a good squad.
Yeah.
Raiders are prepared to, we alluded to this earlier, Raiders are prepared to commit to Derek Carr with an extension per sources. Like I said, I kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, I kind of did too when they hired Josh McDaniels, and his main pitch was to build an offense around Derek Carr and really use his talents to the best that he can. And I'm hearing that the extension could be in the range of $40 million per year for Derek Carr. It'd be a hell of a payday.
It would be one hell of a way for the Raiders to say, hey, we've not shown the utmost confidence in you in the past. Here's a lot of money for us to make that up to you and prove to you we are committed to you moving forward. Mm-hmm. That would say a lot to him. And I think, a confident, happy Derek Carr could do some serious damage. This AFC is just stacked with great quarterbacks. Bengals and head coach Zach Taylor agree on a contract extension through the 2026 season. Matt mentioned this in the comments earlier as well. There's them saying, by the way, that comeback, the welcoming party for the losing Cincinnati Bengals was moving, to say. I mean, that was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, the fans love that team, and they've gone through so many years of losing. They were just so happy and so appreciative that this team was going out there and was in a position to win. And with Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor, Jamar Chase, that young nucleus that they have, they're going to be doing some winning for a pretty long time, I think.
Dolphins owner Stephen Ross could be forced to sell the team if proven he offered Brian Flores $100,000 per loss in 2019. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's proven, because I would find that to be absolutely hilarious.
If that is proven, he absolutely should be forced to sell the team, and I think the owners would. I mean, especially, not only are you dealing with other guys' livelihoods because those losses affect the players, it affects the coaching staff, but there's a lot with sports gambling going on now.
Honestly, he could probably get arrested.
He's probably could face federal charges for that with how big sports gambling is, how much money is involved. Yeah, that's absolute no.
Also, the Washington Commanders owner may have to sell, because apparently his name is in the news again a little more about more allegations beyond what the team's already been punished for. So interesting.
I don't think anybody would be upset if Dan Snyder sold the Washington Commanders.
Honestly, I wouldn't be mad if Peyton Manning bought the fucking Miami Dolphins.
He's probably going to buy the Broncos.
It's his favorite stadium in the whole country.
So no, he's got a loss in there too, unfortunately.
2 out of 3. Adrian Peterson was arrested in Los Angeles Sunday on a domestic violence charge. Hate that. Don't like that at all.
Unfortunately, it's not surprising considering what he got in trouble for a few years ago when there was those issues with him and his son. But yeah, I mean, Adrian Peterson, I don't think is I don't know. It's just sad to see his fall.
Is there Dallas cheerleader stuff going on?
There was a story that came out today. I didn't really, since I was pretty busy, I didn't get to read too much into it, but I think there was a settlement involved with a peeping scandal with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. So definitely not good.
Tell me it wasn't Jerry Jones.
No, it wasn't Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jr.?
I don't know. I don't think it was anybody within ownership, but I haven't read up on anything of the story, so I'll leave Stats Matt to see what
he
that's
can tweet
all
about it. Tweet about it. Also, Matt's saying that AP apparently not facing criminal charges. Anyway, go follow. That's it. Go follow us at a Colts podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's going to be where you want to go. Right here, flashing on the screen. Look at that. I made this new flashing effect where I just click over and over. Okay, wow. That's where you want to go to make sure you're updated on when the shows are going to be. Because we're gonna try to follow the news maybe this year and big news, we're gonna have a show. We really don't know what it's gonna look like this off season. It's our first off season without any big preparations for bringing some huge new factor into the show, so that should give us some time to think of some fun stuff, bring on some fun guests. Maybe you guys can meet Stats Matt one day. But also we are a week off, Andrew. This guy works me like a dog. Maybe 2 weeks off. Who knows? We'll see.
We definitely won't have an episode next week, but we'll be back before the combine. We'll do maybe talk a little, unless something big happens, like Carson Wentz is traded or something within the next week. But thinking maybe combine, we'll pick things back up and get ready for draft season. And then free agency. It's right around the corner.
Well, that is the official final episode of the 2021 season of a Colts podcast. We appreciate you guys listening, and as always, go Colts.
Go Colts.
Let this moment become a cherished memory. And then remember, a legacy is only worthwhile when there is a future to fuel. God bless you, and God bless football.